Hello and welcome to the shed. In today's video we're going to be looking at how to sharpen hatchets or axes. The process is the same. When it comes to sharpening hatchets or axes, we need to know a few things about what the type of axe is, what its intended use is, and the type of bevel grind. Like this one has a Scandi grind, this one does not. This one has a slight convexing to the bevel, this one is flat. So you need to know exactly what it is and what it actually has on it. And although you can reprofile, we're talking about just sharpening here what you already have. If you'd like to see a video on reprofiling the bevel to turn it into more of a carving axe, do let me know down below, because that could be something that we could look at doing. But for now, we're going to be touching up axes that are already sharp and sharpening ones that aren't exactly sharp and actually have some chips in the bevel. So I've got a few different things here for sharpening. I've got the rough items here, which can be inner file, diamond stones, even oil stones if you've got them rough enough, or just simply something like, say, some 240 grit sandpaper on a block of wood. That's gonna be pretty good for reprofiling or removing chips. So I don't know if you can see here, this one's got some nasty chips. Since it's got a loose axe head, I haven't actually sharpened this up and used it yet, but we're going to try and remove these chips out of this today and sharpen it up, so you can see the process that I would use for that. Then we go down into some maintaining tools such as a strop. Now, your easiest way to keep something like a carving axe sharp is to never let it go blunt. Try not to get chips in the edge of it. If you get chips in it, you obviously have to remove them, but a strop is your best friend for keeping something like a carving axe sharp, because it's important to keep this as sharp as you can. You're keeping this as sharp as a plane blade, as sharp as a chisel, because when it's sharp it does its job safely and easily. When it's not, it doesn't. And then I've got mid-row items here, such as this India stone, which I use for my bush carving knives. I think this was a 1200 and a 800, something like that. The grits on that. Or something like this puck here. Now this is a Granford Brooks one, and it actually has these nice rubber pieces so you can keep your fingers away from the edge, but you do just see some that are more just like this, so do be careful when using one of these. This has a coarse and a fine side. I couldn't find anywhere what the grits were, but I think this is about an 800 and this is like a 12 or 1500. I want to go through the way in which I would maintain an axe like this. Now, with a strop, this is what I'd be doing to this regularly, and we're stropping it. Now, in order to match this angle, your best bet is to sight down the axe, place it here, and then work it like this. Remember that on this side you can do that. When you go to this side, just rest the handle on your shoulder. This goes for any axe, even a full-size axe. You can do the same process, get up nice and close like this, and once you get used to it, maybe you could you know, do one of these, but it gets a little dangerous, so I always like to sort of have a nice big strop where you're on the opposite side of it, and that is how I would maintain an axe that hasn't got any little dings. Now, if you needed to maintain it a little bit further, you might look at a puck like this, which is easy to store. You can also get just some little straight oil stones, and they work well. For something like this, I know it's an oil stone, but traditionally they'd just be spat on. You could just put a drop of water on it if you want. I find they work pretty well dry. And so the same process would go where you line this up here, and I'll show you this later after we've reprofiled the other one. But you'd match it here and then work in little circles. And since I've kept this stropped, haven't chipped the edge, it's stayed nice and sharp, I don't want to wreck this, so I'm not going to be demonstrating that puck. But when you use any of them, you're working in little kind of circles here. Work along, do even passes on both sides, especially if you have an even bevel. Some carving axes do come with a short bevel and a long bevel based on left or right handed, and so that's so you can get a little more control. Granford Books does sell them. I went for the straight even bevel because that works well for me. I've never had an issue. I've never had a need for an uneven one, but some of you out there might have used ones like that, so do comment down below if you have. Had another look at this bevel just as I was switching over and realised that it's actually got a slight convexing to the bevel and not a flat bevel like this one has. This one has a flat bevel. This one does not. There's an ever so slight hump to it. So if it was a flat bevel, I would face the bevel towards me because it's easier to control a flat line, in my opinion, on coming in this way. But when it's curved like this, it's actually easier to be away from the edge, just because it's easier to lift behind to add that. So what I've done is black the bevel, and I'll bring you in now and I'll just show you the process of using the file to reprofile. Remembering you want to keep your bevel in the center of your axe like it currently is, or should be. So you want to do the same amount of passes on both sides. Now be sure when you clamp this that you try and keep it out of the way of where the file is going to come. So with the bevel blacked here, I just use some Sharpie permanent marker. So you want to try and find what angle that it is. So you don't have to worry about the back too much. Just concentrate on that front edge. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this has actually got a really bad bevel, so this is going to take a long time to actually profile that out. There's some quite big chips here. So, it's about 7 passes. Right on the cutting edge, and I'll show you that in a sec. So you can see there, I'm just concentrating right on the edge to start with. The roll in there, you can add that in afterwards. So when you actually do touch up any convexed bevel like this, you're just using a stone right on that very edge. So that's what we're going to use to start with, and then we'll just shape it in back to give that convexing, just to take any flat bit out of it. Flip this over the other way, secure it back down. Remember to secure the handle because these will still move if you don't. Whoop. Try not to drop your file on it. So I've done 7 this side, so now I'm going to add more on this side and then we'll flip over and do more to the other side. So I've done about another 7 passes there, but before I go I want to just start to roll that into the back. So I don't want it to go too far and have a very heavy ridge. So it's just a few passes you use, and that can actually just keep that bevel rolled. So you can see it's a very back and forwards motion. after working the edge of this for about 10 minutes, I've taken those chips out that were on the edge there, and that flat that was there for the most part, I've removed that. So after you're happy where that is, and for me, I'm pretty happy with this. This is just a hatchet for splitting stuff around the campsite, so I'm not too held up on it. As long as it gets a sharp edge that's going to last a while, I'm not too worried. So I'm going to go to 400 grit here now. The idea is to sharpen the whole bevel, and you can go through the grits. You could use just your oil stone and work that for a long time. I would try to avoid diamond stones at this point because you don't want to damage it. So if you've got some sticks that go further than 400, you probably could use them. You don't really need to. You could go up to 400, 800, 1200 and then a strop. It's really up to you. The only caveat to my diamond stone is if you have a 1200 grit like I have, that's going to actually get this final passing done a lot quicker. But you got to be careful not to go too far. And remember, we're just working the very edge here. I don't care how pretty the rest of the bevel is as long as my edge is sharp. So you can go in circles or you can match it and go with the same sort of arc that you were going with the file with one of these diamond stones. Now, once you've got it to the point where you have changed the scratch pattern, if you look here, I have changed that scratch pattern. If you're worried about not spotting scratch patterns, once again, do keep your marker handy and just regularly drop some marker on the end of that. That's going to ensure that you are sharpening right on the very edge. As I said before, I don't care what the bevel looks like as long as it's sharp. It is a different story if you have a Scandi grind like this, because you want that entire bevel to be shiny and polished. And that's why you maintain that like that, because it's more difficult to get it back to that. Or you can go through a bunch of grits of sandpaper to do that same process on this if you wanted to, but there's no real benefit in a hatchet if that's what you're using to have that really shiny, as long as it's sharp. You can see by passing that along there, taking the marker pen off, you can see where you've hit and where you haven't. You'll notice that I'm changing the angle a little bit just so I can see where the stone and the bevel meet right on the very edge. That's where I'm looking the whole time, that gap. Right up where it just touches, because that's where we want the sharpening done. So once you've done that, and you feel you're happy with it, you look at this now, I'm pretty happy with that. We're still going to strop it, but at this point, if there's any flat spots, we might need to do a little bit more sharpening or correction either side, just to ensure there's no flat spots. So you look down with the light above, even if you go outside to do it, as long as there's no light shining back at you off the very tip where the 2 points come together, that means that we've got a nice sharp two bevels sort of touching each other like we do with the chisel. honing compound works best for this. And then you don't want to fold the edge over, you just want to polish this side. So I've done 50 on that side. Now I'll do 50 on the other side and see if I need to do any more. So you can see here now we've ended up with a nice shiny bevel that's nice and sharp now. Some of you might also be wondering about the bevel angle. Well, this one was about 40 degrees, 35, 40 when I began, and we can see it's still pretty much at that 40. There's not really too much difference. It is a little difficult to tell the angle of these sometimes when they've got the curved bevel, but if you look closely here, which is my 40 degrees on my Tormek, we can see that's roughly what it is. So roughly a 20 degree bevel both sides. And you can see now why I said this type of axe is not the best with a shallow bevel for doing this work in the previous video. But you can actually split it like this. So there you have it, folks. That's how you sharpen an axe, or a hatchet for that matter. And I think you can also see with that demonstration at the end why it matters what type of axe you use for which job, because the bevels are designed differently to do different jobs, such as the small, fatter, bulged bevel for a axe that's designed to split versus a carving axe which has a wide, flat bevel designed to carve, or even one like this that's sort of set up as a multi-purpose axe at this point, because they're a longer bevel and not as bulbous because of the narrower tip design of the axe, which you can clearly see in these two here. So if you like this video, please do like and subscribe down below. While you're down there, do sound off in the comments if you sharpen these and reprofile them a different way. I'm eager to learn from all of you if you do it a different way, which might work better for me. And if not, do just sound off down there in maybe what you might do better in the process I did here, or if you've got a better way for holding the axe, anything like that, do leave it down below. And if you'd like to see another great video such as the one you've seen here today, do check out the video here where I go through how to integrate an axe into your woodworking. Bye for now.